Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl officially released 1 year ago today. But let's be honest, you don't care. But why don't you care? Well, there could be a number of reasons for that. It could be because Nickelodeon has a history of giving their side projects shit budgets, so the game launched without having any voice acting for the characters, thus making it much more difficult to become immersed in relegating with our favorite Nicktoons characters in this new way we've never seen them in before. After all, sound design is everything when it comes to world building and immersion, so it didn't really matter that our favorite characters looked like themselves. For the most part, they just felt rather void and lifeless. Despite this, many people still enjoyed the core mechanics of the game enough to look past this, myself included, so I really doubt that's the only reason. It could be because of the game's lack of single-player content, especially compared to the franchise its genre was invented in. But upon playing them again, I actually found the game's arcade mode to be a fun, quick little romp through some of Nickelodeon's fun and fantastical worlds, as well as even having fun with the game's sports mode. And you do actually unlock some extras upon completing arcade mode with each individual character, so I don't think that's quite it either. Maybe it could be because on release, partially for the budget reasoning that I mentioned before, the game appeared so unpolished compared to most platform fighters that were out at the time, that even for seasoned competitive platform fighter players, the main demographic that the game was marketed to, it could be difficult to tell what was going on sometimes. I'm friends with some very talented Smash and Multiversus players, ones who have accomplished amazing feats in their respective games, and I can personally attest to them telling me that the main reason that they quit Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl was certainly not because of the game's mechanics, but rather its lack of polish. And you gotta admit, when we were told this game was gonna have rollback netcode, I think having lag spikes occasionally worthy of putting Smash Ultimate to shame and taking 10 minutes of wait time to get a match in quick play consistently were the last things any of us expected. But despite all of these raging flaws, I love Nazby. I love Nazby! Seriously, I have not enjoyed a platform fighter this much since the early days of Ultimate, and at this point of my tenure in the platform fighter communities, it might surprise you to learn that I can safely say I enjoy playing this game more than Smash Ultimate for the most part. Don't get me wrong, I still love commentating Smash Ultimate and watching it. I love it as a spectator sport, and I love all the friends that I've made and have treasured in the community. But anybody who knows me personally knows I quit competing in Smash Ultimate about 2.5 years ago for a plethora of reasons. And in the case of enjoying Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl more, I have about 2 reasons for those. 1. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl is very interaction heavy. Nick Brawl is designed around interaction and rewards you astronomically more for properly interacting with your opponent over running away from them. The game accomplishes this by making the speed and movement very fast-paced, giving the cast very good simple-to-learn but hard-to-master combo and punish games, and making projectiles not busted. The movement was not only partially designed around this philosophy, but its characters and mechanics were too. For the most part.
You can't handle all this!
To de-incentivize overly defensive game plans, Nazby put a progressive slowdown timer on projectiles, meaning that the more you rapidly spam your character's projectile, the more end lag it has, leaving you more open for an easy counterattack if you're just sitting there in the corner spamming it. I, for one, cannot get over how brilliant this decision was, as it makes projectiles feel more fair and skillful to use, while simultaneously making sure projectiles still have their utility due to the game's engine. And as if that wasn't enough, they also added this. Listen, I don't know if weed is legal in Japan or not, but someone on the Ultimate dev team was smoking some real shit when they decided that zoners should have buttons. Seriously, man, in Ultimate, some of the game's best characters are ones who easily fit into the zoner archetype. Characters who thrive best from the long range as opposed to fighting up close. But then, for some f***ing reason, In Ultimate, a lot of those same zoners have some of the best buttons in the game when they're up close. It's uncivilized, man! I broke your zone! Why am I more at risk? Ask yourself this genuinely. Would it make sense for Pikachu, one of the game's most mobile characters, to be as heavy as Bowser? Or for the fastest character in the game to have, say, a projectile? Or for, maybe characters whose game plans rely on non-interaction to be able to kill you off one interaction? Go ahead, I'll wait. Me neither! All jokes aside, I, as well as you, should be a firm believer in hating the game, not the player. As a Mario player in Smash, you can imagine why I would appreciate a game that's far more about good neutral decisions and punish game execution, rather than just hiding behind a wall and hoping your opponent loses their patience. Which brings me to my other reason why I love Nazby so much. 2. The game feels good, and the game feels fair. Listen, with the exception of the times where I'm playing online and my opponent crafted their Wi-Fi router out of jewelry they stole from their mom's dresser and a rock, unlike Ultimate, whenever I lose in Nazby, I genuinely feel like I deserved it. And in a platform fighter that is designed to be competitive, that, my friends, is worth its weight in gold. Got blown up? Must have pressed a bad button. Died at 0 off stage? I overextended or positioned myself wrong. Got reversaled? I messed up my combo. These are things that all hold true in the Smash Bros. Games to an extent, but in Nazby, it just feels more intuitive for some reason. Most aspects of the game on their own are very easy, which is a good thing. Accessibility is important for a game like this, especially if it wants to bring in new players while simultaneously being designed to be competitive. That's what Nazby nails more than anything, being easy to learn and difficult to master. Now compare Nazby to a game that's difficult to learn and difficult to master, like say, Melee. Believe it or not, I actually play Melee quite a bit when I'm editing my podcast, and despite feeling like losing in Melee feels very fair too, I only feel that way because I've logged hundreds upon hundreds of hours into this game over the last several years. To me, Melee feels good and fair because it's already accessible to me. Now, plop a new player into Melee, a game where even the most basic mechanics such as walking are incredibly precise, combined with the fact that Melee has damn near zero input buffering, something almost every modern video game has to some degree, and you'll find that some new players will get turned off from ever even learning the sheer beauty and depth that that game has to offer. To a lot of newer players, Melee's archaic input buffering system feels clunky and unresponsive, and therefore, not good or fair. And it makes getting ran over in that game an exponentially more frustrating experience than a rewarding and a learning experience. Check out Awesome Sauce's Is Melee a Good Game video for a more in-depth look at this. You might ask yourself, well, Nintoonist, why not go back to Ultimate then? It's just as, if not more accessible than Nazby, and has the most generous buffer in the series. And my answer to that is, I don't think it's too difficult to argue that Ultimate's buffer system is, how you say, fucked up.
64. 81 suddenly.
And Nairo is oh, not again! A second tournament in a row! Nairo loses to a forward smash misinput. It happened to Genesis, and it happens at Frostbite.
Nairo's forward smash took priority over dropping through the platform with an aerial due to the way Smash Ultimate's buffer system works. And I kid you not when I say that the buffer system, and especially sticky platforms, are one of the biggest reasons I dropped Smash Ultimate. In Nick Brawl, the game has a very generous but not unintuitive buffer system, a similar mechanic to Melee and wave dashing, and even advanced options to get off of and maneuver around platforms, such as easy shield dropping by crouching and jumping through the platform, and crash canceling respectively. Those elements combined, you've got yourself a recipe for a deep, yet accessible, platform fighter that anyone can pick up and enjoy the process of getting better at. I think one of the reasons I love Nazby so much is because, and this is not a one-to-one comparison here, is because it honestly feels like a more modern version of Melee, but with input buffering and its own spin on mechanics. Finally, I'm so glad we finally have a game like that after all these years. You might be thinking I'm trying to dissuade you from playing Smash Bros. In favor of a game that is literally the Nickelodeon version of Smash Brothers, but I'm not. You guys know me. I love the Smash Brothers games. I could easily argue that Smash Brothers is my favorite gaming franchise of all time, and I owe a lot to the series and to the community. Far more than any of you know, trust me on that. But Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl has made me feel a type of way that no other competitive game has made me feel in quite a while. The characters, the stages, the movement, the air strafing, the fact that I can play as Danny Phantom in a fighting game. It's so difficult for me to put into words to describe Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl's depth. It's honestly just something that you need to experience for yourself. And while I'll admit the game is not for everyone, no game is, to be quite frank, to see people call it dead for some reason when it has one of the kindest and most welcoming communities that I personally have ever been a part in, well, I think that's pretty ignorant. To conclude my thoughts here on the 1-year anniversary of Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, if you ever thought about trying the game and wanted to give it a shot, but were dissuaded by people calling the game dead, well, you just participated in their self-fulfilling prophecy. You shouldn't let negativity influence your decisions on whether a game is worth playing or not. Only you can judge that for yourself. So, at the end of the day, you should play whatever game is fun for you. But if you heed my words and you decide to give Nazby a shot, I promise what lies ahead is one of the most deep and rewarding platform fighters I personally have ever played, with one of the kindest and most welcoming communities the gaming scene has to offer. And if you want to join that gaming scene, the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl Grinders Discord is a great place to start. You can join that by hitting the link down in the description below. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like on the video down below, and comment below what you like the most about Nazby, or whatever your favorite platform fighting game is. Take care, and I'll see you all next time.